the day I almost gave up. My name is Arjun Sharma. 4 years ago, I was 27, living in a 10 by 10 rented room in Thane, Mumbai. I earned 18,400 Indian rupees per month as a factory quality checker. After rent, 7,000 Indian rupees, mother's diabetes medicines, 3,200 Indian rupees, electricity loan, EMI travel, exactly 1,180 Indian rupees remained. Enough for 4 packets of milk and 2 kilograms of dal. That evening, I stood outside the factory gate holding my salary envelope, and I started crying like a child. Because I realized, even if I worked 30 more years like this, I would still die poor. Across the road, a Lamborghini Urus stopped at the signal. A boy my age stepped out wearing shoes that cost more than my entire year's salary. Same age, same city, different rules. That night, I looked at the ceiling and said, God, either change my life or take it. The stranger under the streetlight. Next evening, walking home, I saw an old man sitting on the footpath under a flickering streetlight. He was reading a torn book titled Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Something pulled me. I offered him water. He smiled and said, Beta, you look like someone who's tired of being poor. I laughed bitterly. Uncle, who isn't? He patted the footpath beside him. Sit 5 minutes can change your bloodline forever. The 2 fathers that changed everything. He asked, tell me about your father. My father was a government school teacher. Honest, respected. Died at 62 with only a 3 Indian rupees lakh FD and a mountain of medical bills. The old man nodded. That was your poor dad. He continued, my best friend in Hawaii had 2 fathers. Real father, PhD, headmaster, salary 80,000 Indian rupees a month in today's money, died broke. Other father, 8th grade dropout, owned half the island, died worth millions. That was his rich dad. I was shocked. So education doesn't matter. Education matters, he said. But school teaches you to work for money. Rich dad taught my friend to make money work for him. That's the only difference between the rich and the rest of us. The biggest lie school ever taught us. The biggest lie, he said, is study hard, get good marks, get a safe, secure job. That's the industrial age formula. It died in the 90s. Your job is not an asset. It's your boss's asset. Every month you make him richer. When will you own something that makes you richer every month? I had no answer. He drew 2 columns in the dust. Poor and middle class. Work for money. Buy liabilities. Phone. Bike on EMI. Pay taxes first. Live in fear of bills. Rich. Money works for them. Buy assets first. Pay taxes last. Legally. Live in freedom. Choose your column today, he said. The 5 rules written on a torn page. He tore a page from his notebook and wrote 5 rules in shaking handwriting. Financial education, 30 minutes daily, no excuses. Track every single rupee for 30 days. Pay yourself first, minimum 10% of income. Never say, I can't afford it. Ask, how can I afford it? Surround yourself with people richer and smarter than you. He handed me the page and said, follow these 5 rules for exactly 1 year. If you break even one, you'll stay poor forever. If you follow all 5, you'll never be poor again. Then he stood up, put the book in my hand, and walked into the darkness. I never saw him again. Month 1, facing the ugly truth. I started rule number 2 the next day. Bought a 20 Indian rupees notebook. Wrote every expense, tea 15 Indian rupees, bus 40 Indian rupees, cigarette 12 Indian rupees, Veda Pav 30 Indian rupees. By day 30, the truth hit me like a truck. I was wasting 5,400 Indian rupees every month on absolute garbage. That's 30% of my salary disappearing into thin air. I felt ashamed. I felt angry. But most of all, I felt hope. 7. The 2,400 Indian rupees that felt like 2 Indian rupees crore. Next month, I cut everything unnecessary. Stopped smoking. Walked 4 kilometers instead of bus. Ate dal rice for dinner. On payday, I took out 2,400 Indian rupees first and hid it in an envelope labeled My Freedom Fund. Then lived on the remaining 16,000 Indian rupees. Friends laughed. Ayun pagla gaya hai. My mother cried, Beta, Mat Marja Hungarasi. But on the 29th day, I held that 2,400 Indian rupees in my hand. It was the first money in my life that was truly mine. Felt heavier than gold. My first ever asset, a broken phone. With 2,400 Indian rupees plus 8,000 Indian rupees borrowed from my sister, promised to return in 45 days. I bought a cracked iPhone 10 from OLX for 10,400 Indian rupees. Spent 2 nights watching YouTube repair videos. Replaced the screen myself for 1,800 Indian rupees. Cleaned it, clicked professional photos, listed it for 18,500 Indian rupees. Sold in 28 days. Profit, 6,300 Indian rupees. I paid my sister back with interest, kept 4,000 Indian rupees profit. For the first time in my life, money had multiplied while I slept. I screamed alone in my room that night. When friends laughed and family called me mad. Months passed. My freedom fund grew Indian rupee 11,000 Indian rupee 29,000 78,000 Indian rupees. I started investing in mutual funds SIP 2,000 Indian rupees per month. Friends mocked me.
Arjun, tu ame banega OLX se jajaja.
My uncle said, Bandar Kahath main Ustra pays Barbad Karega. Even my mother begged, Beta job mat kadna. But I remembered the old man's words. The world will laugh until the day they ask you for a loan. The night I risked everything for a tiny shop. One evening I saw a 180 SQ, FT empty shop for rent, 15,000 Indian rupees per month. Signboard broken, walls dirty, but location perfect outside a college. I asked, how can I afford this? Instead of, I can't. Partnered with my cousin Raj, who cooks amazing Maggie. Total cost to start Mast Maggie Cafe 3.8 Indian rupees lakh. I had 1.05 Indian rupees lakh saved. Sold my 8-year-old bike for 42,000 Indian rupees. Borrowed 1.5 Indian rupees lakh interest-free from uncle. Returned in 14 months. Convinced landlord for 3 months rent-free in exchange for full renovation. On October 27, 2022, we opened with 5 plastic tables, 1 induction, and 380 Indian rupees in the cash box. Chapter 11. Opening day, 0 customers for 4 hours, 34:50, 38:48, 628 words. Music. Tense triumphant. First day, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 0 customers. We stood like fools. At 2:15 p.m., one college girl walked in, ordered cheese Maggie. She posted on Instagram story. By 6 p.m., the shop was packed. Day 1 revenue, 4,810 Indian rupees. We danced on the empty road at midnight. Chapter 12. Month 6, the first 1 Indian rupee lakh profit month. We added cold coffee, sandwiches evening Veda Pav. Month 6 revenue, 3.87 Indian rupees lakh. Expenses, 2.84 Indian rupees lakh. Profit, 1.03 Indian rupees lakh. I sat on the floor and cried. 1 Indian rupee lakh profit in 1 month, more than 5 years of my old salary. I hired 2 boys from my old factory, paid them 22,000 Indian rupees, each more than the factory ever paid me. Month 6, the first 1 Indian rupee lakh profit month. We added cold coffee, sandwiches, evening Veda Pav. Month 6 revenue, 3.87 Indian rupees lakh. Expenses, 2.84 Indian rupees lakh. Profit, 1.03 Indian rupees lakh. I sat on the floor and cried. 1 Indian rupee lakh profit in 1 month. More than 5 years of my old salary. I hired 2 boys from my old factory, paid them 22,000 Indian rupees, each more than the factory ever paid me. The second asset that made me cry. At 23 Indian rupees lakh savings, I bought a 1 BHK flat in Ulwi for 38 Indian rupees lakh, 15 Indian rupees lakh loan. Rented it for 16,000 Indian rupees per month. Tenants rent paid EMI plus gave me 4,200 Indian rupees extra every month. My first pure passive income. I visited the flat alone one night, touched the wall and cried like a baby, because now even if I sleep for 10 years, money will still come. The day I fired my boss forever. Exactly 3 years, 11 months after meeting the old man, I walked into the factory, handed my resignation. My boss laughed. Arjun, you'll come crawling back in 1 month. That month my income.
Café profit, 1,42 lakhs.
Rental income, 28,000 Indian rupees. Mutual funds plus stocks returns, 19,000 Indian rupees. Total 1.89 Indian rupees lakh. Old salary, 22,000 Indian rupees. I smiled and said, "Sir, thank you for the job, but I'm never coming back." Paying it forward, I became the old man. Today at 31, I own 5 cafes across Mumbai and Pune, 9 rental flats, a small packaging factory, net worth 4.37 Indian rupees crore and growing. Every year on October 27th, I sit under that same streetlight with a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. When a tired, angry young man or woman walks by, I smile and say, "You look like someone who's tired of being poor." See, 5 minutes can change your bloodline forever. And when they ask, "Uncle, who taught you?" I just point to the sky and say, "An old man who disappeared after giving me 5 rules. And today, I'm passing them to you. If you're watching this and you're broke, angry, or scared, this is your sign. Start tonight. Rule 1. Open a notebook right now and write your first expense. Rule 2. Take out 10% of whatever you have and say, "This is my freedom fund." Rule 3. Never say, "I can't afford it" again. Because poverty is not lack of money. It's lack of knowledge and courage. You don't need more money to start. You need more guts. Comment, "I start today" if you're ready. I'll personally reply to the first 500 comments. Thank you for watching till the end. See you at the top. End screen. Subscribe plus bell plus share with one friend who needs this.